Hey everybody, it's Joyce here from Black Hair Company, and I'm coming to you guys with another video. And today we're going to be discussing whether or not long locks inevitably lead to thinning roots. This is a notion that I have heard circulated for a long time. A lot of people saying, you know, there's just comes a time where your hair gets so long that you will inevitably experience thinning at your roots because the weight of your locks is just too much. And I saw a video posted by someone who's fairly common in the lock community, and she was talking about how she is experiencing thinning roots, and she said it's because my hair is so long that it's just heavy and that's what's causing it to thin. And for reference, her locks are about like in between bra strap length and her waist, so that gives you an idea of like her length. And I need to preface this with the fact that, one, this is my opinion. I'm not a professional loctician, and nor am I someone who has had locks for a very long time. I'm basing my opinion off of pre-existing knowledge, logic, and just taking an educated guess at something, at this. And ultimately, I just don't agree with that. I don't think that having long locks will inevitably lead to thinning roots or like traction alopecia. And the first person that comes to mind when I think about discussing this is someone whose name is Paul. I don't remember his name, but I'll include some pictures. I don't remember his last name, but I'll include some pictures. And so you guys can see that this guy has a really long locks, and even with his length, almost, I think it's below his butt, his roots are super thick. They're super thick. And so this would honestly dispel the notion that having long locks automatically means that you're going to have thinning roots. Now, some of you may look at his pictures and say, well, it's because the reason why his roots are not thinning is because he's free-forming. But ultimately, we're not talking about free-forming versus maintaining your roots. We're talking about, does the length of your locks impact whether or not you're going to experience thinning? And I think when we look at that question specifically, the answer is no. I think that if someone has been growing their locks for a significant amount of time and they've gotten a nice amount of length and they're starting to also experience thinning, my first thought would be two things. One would be, are you over maintaining your roots? Are you over manipulating them? Are you interlocking them too frequently? Are you interlocking them too tightly? Are you twisting your hair too frequently? Are you twisting your hair too tightly? Are you styling your hair? Is there just somehow that tension is being put on your roots and thereby weakening them so that they are collapsing under the weight of your locks? That would be my first question. And my second question would be, if it's not that you're over manipulating your roots, perhaps what's happening is it's not the locks themselves that are weighing your roots down and then causing them to break, but perhaps the things that are inside of your locks. Now, this brings up the question about like to put products or to not put products. I'm not going to get into whether you should or you should not, but what I'm saying is if you are someone who has used products over years, you've had locks for 10, 12, 15 years, please understand that on some level, even if it is just on a microscopic level, on some level, you are retaining whatever you put in your locks. And I would assume that if you've been consistently putting something in your hair over several years, 15 years, like there probably is an amount of residue in your locks that, depending on what you did or did not put in your hair, could be causing your locks to be heavier than they naturally would be, and then therefore cause thinning at the roots. I hope that makes sense, because I just don't really buy this idea that long locks equals damage to your roots. Like I just don't think that. I think that a lot of the time when we experience damage to the length of our locks or even to the roots, if it's not due to something genetic or some medical reason, then it is very likely due to something that we're doing to ourselves. It's not, I think it's kind of like misguided to blame it on locks and say locks, just once they get to a certain length, they're gonna cause your roots to thin and you're gonna lose hair because you have locks. Like I feel like that's, one, it's dangerous information, because I think it's not correct, but it also just gives locks a bad rap. And I'm like, I just don't think that's true. And I think it's blame that's being misplaced. Instead of blaming it on locks and how they form, I think that we should really be looking back at ourselves, like what did we do to our locks that very likely contributed to the problem that we're experiencing. But nonetheless, I know this is a question that some people, they tend to fall on one side or the other. There's a lot of people that believe that once your locks become a certain length, they will just thin. I don't believe that. There just are too many examples to prove the contrary. There's lots of people that have long locks and they don't have any bald spots. Also, there are many people who agree with me and would say, yeah, that's likely due to, things that you're doing to your hair, whether it be over manipulation, under manipulation. Sometimes you're not doing enough to keep your locks intact, so you'll thin at the roots. And sometimes it's due to products that are just literally in our hair and weighing it down, kind of like, like it's just leftover goo that may have cemented in the hair and causes it to be heavy. But either way, in the comment section below, let me know what your thoughts are, whether you agree, disagree, and why you feel that way. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.